how did 2020 went, and what is you expecting for 2021?
Well, I think most people are glad to say goodbye to 2020 this week and ready to bring in a new year. 2020 definitely had a lot of craziness going on for immigration. We had executive orders, travel bans, blocking of family-based immigration at the consulates, and then all of a sudden we had priority date movement, and we had possible, S386, Fairness for High-Skilled Immigrants Act.
And don't forget that we do have new regulations that popped up with regards to the prevailing wages. We had also new regulations with regards to restrictions on third-party placement. We had new regulations with regards to the specialty occupation that came out, and then we have the court order that struck all these things down.
Mm-hmm. The public charge,
944 form. This all happened in 2020, and also we had good court decisions coming in, especially for the IT serve court litigation that came in 2020 that did allow a little bit more relaxation to the consulting companies in getting the H-1B approvals. And also we had a lot of court orders, court that struck down, especially in the public charge. One time the court said, well, we don't have to file the 944 form. Then they said we can. Then they said in a certain place we don't have to. And then finally we are forced to file the 944 for the public charge. We had also had the consular restrictions with regards to giving the information of the social media. That came this year too.
Oh yeah. And also the, it just went right out of my mind. I had another one I thought of and now it slipped out of my mind.
Consulate delays because of the COVID. Don't forget that. A lot of issues with regards to the travel. On top of the COVID restrictions, the doctors' restrictions, we do have the immigration restrictions also. Delays everywhere. I would call the 2020 as the delay year for the immigration. Mm-hmm. Everything is delayed. H4 EADs were being delayed, H4s are delayed. EAD applications were being denied, advance parole has been denied. Just to issue the receipt notice, it's taking about 3 months. What can you call this? Just open the package, take the check, cash it out, give a receipt notice. 3 months it's taking right now. Mm-hmm. I would call the year of 2020 as the year of delays. I'm expecting, Emily, coming 2021, the new administration is coming. They are not vindictive on the immigrants, but do you feel that they're going to do any better coming in 2021?
I don't think we'll see major changes, but I think that we'll see a difference in attitude that will benefit everyone. Hopefully we'll get back to more of a service-oriented agency, a benefits-granting agency, not an enforcement agency. And I think that will be kind of the first thing we'll notice a difference. As far as all of these other things and the bigger goals of immigration reform, I think it's going to be same old, same old.
Yeah, even though the administration wants to bring in the business-based immigration, though, overall, comprehensive immigration bill, that's definitely is their mandate, though. We do not expect that the comprehensive immigration bill is going to go to the Congress. It was tried in the Clinton era, it was tried in Bush, it was tried in Obama. It was never tried in Trump administration, though. But this administration, all the previous administration tried, this coming administration also want, but we are not expecting a unity among there. So we may expect the 1044 or 7386 bill will not be the same name, it will change the name, but there will be a promotion of taking the limitation on per country quota in the employment base. We do expect that to see again in the Congress. So we need to see if that bill can be passed. That's one of the top priorities that I feel that the immigrants should strive for, to remove the discrimination once for all. How about the delays, Emily? And we do have the premium processing legislation passed that the USCIS can collect $2,500 for the premium processing for H4EAD. They can collect $2,500 for EB1C. Do you think so? Some of the implementations can happen soon?
I don't think it'll be soon. I think that because that does require regulations, and I think that the Biden administration has their hands full with trying to undo a lot of the regulations, so they're going to be focusing on that before they start focusing on improving and providing those regulations.
Emily, are we done with this administration, or do we have anything else coming, like restrictions coming up? Two things that are in the pipeline is the regulations with regards to the salary levels when you're filing a H-1B lottery. That still may pop up. What about these restrictions on if a person wants to change from one university to another university? Can that come into before this administration
absolutely.
comes? So we're not done yet with this old administration, though.
Yeah, and we have travel bans set to expire December 31st.
December 31st, but they didn't extend it any at this point of time. For sure, I can tell that if the Trump administration do extend it, I am expecting that Biden administration is going to undo it when he comes back. Anything else we're missing on what has?
Let's see, we also, I remembered what I was going to mention was the fee increase that was supposed to take effect on October 1st.
Oh, yes.
That got reversed by court. So we haven't had a fee increase since 2018. It was supposed to be done earlier than 2020, and now it's delayed again. So I would expect we're eventually going to see some fee increases somewhere, because USCIS has to figure out how to deal with their budget shortfall.
We had also an issue with regards to the USCIS budget, where they said that they may close, then they realize that they have enough money. That's another confusion. 2020 was also an year, Emily, I have never seen forms to be changed so many times in my past 25 years of immigration life experience. The amount of forms that were changed in 1 year into the 2020 will be equivalent to almost 10 years of form change. And then there's since the court ordered that there's no fees increase, and everything went back. So it's like, how many times do we have to change forms back and forth? So it definitely was not a good year for mostly, but we had one good news that came out for the employment-based. That is the priority date movement all the way to 2015 for EB3. The surprising thing was the EB3 moved forward. Nobody predicted, at least I didn't predict, and Emily also prediction went wrong. EB2 movement also went through very good. In 2021 also, even though Biden administration may not impose the executive orders on the family immigration ban, it may still be like that. The reason is that because of the COVID, the consulates are not opening. Because the consulates are not opening, there will be they could not adjudicate the number of people in the green card, those people who are in the process. So there may be some spillover, if not maybe the same equal amount of spillover from last year. Because the spillover, if you consider that until March of 2020, all the consulates were open as they are. Only from April of 2020, the consulates are closed. So April, May, June, July, August, September, October, so 7 months, they were closed or partially closed. For the first 5 months, they're fully open. Right now, the year of 2021 for the USCIS or for the priority date movement actually starts in October. So October, the consulates are closed. November, the consulates are closed. December, consulates are closed. They're also canceling the appointments that were done in February of 2021. So January is closed, February is closed. So we may expect some more spillover of the family-based immigration coming into business immigration starting on October 1st of 2021. That's what my expectation is. Emily, what's going on the biometrics appointment right now?
Yeah, so USCIS released a stakeholder announcement, basically what we already know, confirming that they're still way behind on issuing biometrics notices. They're still only able to do about 10,400 appointments per day. And as of mid-December, the backlog was at 1.3 million.
Mm-hmm.
So
if it's 10,000, 20 working days, you're speaking of approximately 200,000 applications.
Yeah, so looking at that, if they can only do 10,000 a day, there's 1.3 million waiting. It's going to take 125 days just to get through the current backlog. That's 4 months.
4 months.
4 months delay in getting biometrics.
And oh, by the way, we forgot, biometrics was introduced in 2019, but which was initially it was fine, but it became a problem in 2020 because we can't get adjudication of the applications. Biometrics was there before too. It's nothing new. Biometrics was there for the adjustment of status and certain other political asylum and other issues, the biometrics were there. Biometrics was not there before the Trump administration for the I-539 applications, especially for L2s, H4s, even 4-year-old kids have to get a biometrics nowadays. So that didn't used to exist there because of the Trump administration, the backlog came in. Do you expect, Emily, that when the new administration comes in, they will take out the biometrics requirement?
I don't see that happening right away. I think what they may consider doing is extending the EADs while the application is pending due to biometrics. I believe earlier this week, a group of 60 representatives sent a letter to the new administration requesting that they make that adjustment because they're constantly getting bombarded with people who are not able to work because their H4 EAD is delayed due to these biometrics.
So anything else on the biometrics, Emily?
I think that was about it.
Receipt notices, oh my goodness, it's a nightmare, Emily. They are backlogged. I mean, they are backlogged. I told people in October, oh, they're backlogged by 3 weeks. Is it true that anymore?
No, now it's like 3 months.
Well, you told 3 weeks, Emily. I remember that.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, we're just now getting receipt notices still from cases filed in mid-October. These are for the I-140 downgrades especially, and the adjustment of status, EAD and AP renewals. You know, for the renewals, you don't pay a fee, so there's no check to monitor to see if your case has actually been accepted by having that cached. So it's taking forever. And those EAD renewals, you know, you use that receipt notice to show that your continued employment authorization.
Especially for the adjustment of status
Exactly.
applications, where it's an extension, you show the receipt notice and they're not issuing the receipt notices. And when do you think that this receipt notices problem will be resolved? Do you think so the new administration will come and magically resolve it?
No, I think it's a USCIS problem. They just didn't have the staff. They weren't prepared for October. And it's
Well, first, Emily, I mean, they are telling that the amount of cases filed with the USCIS has gone down. And they wanted extra budget from the Congress. Now you're telling that they're not prepared?
Yeah, I think that they had no idea what to expect when the adjustment of status, you know, the filing dates chart in October, weren't prepared for the number of downgrades. And they're just not, it's not a priority to them, honestly.
Well, first of all, let's look into the things, Emily. You don't get an EAD receipt notice, you can't be employed. You don't get an EAD approval, you can't be employed. You don't get receipt notices, you are tensed up on those things. You don't get receipt notices, there are a lot of benefits that people are going to lose. Certain times they get benefit of the driving license. I mean, if they are not prepared for October, I mean, when they issued the visa bulletin though, they had a knowledge about it. Even if I teach a 5-year-old kid, these are the number of applications that we'll receive. It will take a time. The 5th grade kid can understand that, yes, I need to put more hours on this one to get these things. How come the USCIS did not do it?
I think, you know, it's delay. Delay is the name of their game. Anything they can do to cause legal immigrants to not want to stay here or to face more hurdles, that's their ultimate goal. Those are easy ways that they can do that, is just by delaying a simple receipt notice. So hopefully the Biden administration with a new DHS head will be able to make some headway and put some extra resources there to get them caught up to speed.
Delaying justice is considered as denying justice according to law, and this is what Trump administration done. But one thing that a lot of people are fearful about this adjustment of status receipt notices is, Emily, is I filed in October, now the priority date is backlogged. Well, will they accept my application right now because now it's backlogged, it's getting backlogged on January?
Yeah, the good thing is, as long as it was properly filed during the filing window, even if they haven't issued the receipt yet, you're fine. Your case will still be accepted. The bigger issue is for people who may not know yet that their application was rejected for some silly reason, because USCIS does that. If a box is not checked or a fee is wrong, you're missing a signature, any little thing, they can reject the application, and they're taking this long to mail those rejections, and then if it comes in January, you've lost your chance because you can't use the filing date charts.
But luckily we do have a court order right now that if they reject the cases based on some blanks in the forms, though, the court gave an order that they can't reject it, which is a good news, Emily, which comes into picture. Also, a lot of people are fearful. Hey, my adjustment of status, I filed it. The lawyers were very busy. They didn't file an EAD, an advance parole. Can I now file the EAD and advance parole after I receive the receipt notice when the priority date is backlogged? The answer is simply yes, you can. Even though it's backlogged, you are definitely allowed to get a EAD and advance parole. You're definitely allowed to file and also receive an approval of the EAD and advance parole. Emily, the USCIS started interviewing for the employment-based immigration, starting with the applications filed in March of 2017, after the Trump administration came in. And recently, they started waiving because of the COVID restrictions. Is it still there, or what's going on that?
Yeah, that is still a requirement. So that's something that perhaps the Biden administration can lift, because prior to Trump, those interviews were automatically waived for employment-based applicants unless there was some sort of criminal background or issue like that that needed to be addressed. So hopefully that will ease the burden, but that's not a guarantee. It's going to be something that the Biden administration, they have a lot of things to worry about, issues to resolve, and so I think they're going to start with some of the more pressing matters with the undocumented population, Central American migrants, and that sort of thing. So again, legal immigration will probably be placed on the back burner for a while, and we may see some slight improvements in 2021, but it's going to take time.
Okay, let's go to the question and answers from YouTube and Facebook that we have. Thank you for all of you guys to post the question. When will the stamping slots be available in Canada? Right now, what we're looking at is that they are not available for most of the time. Even if they are available, they seems to be available in April of 2021. And one problem with these appointments is that they keep on canceling the appointments. Be careful, just don't go there. Check with the people to make sure that they have not canceled it. The appointments for the month of December and January, especially for those people who are going for third country nationals, has been canceled in Canada. They're not entertaining anymore. Mm-hmm.
Yeah, and I've seen other countries where you can't even get an appointment till November of 2021 at this stage. So it's going to be, continued problems. And the Biden administration likely is not going to be able to solve that, because a lot of it is the COVID issue. So until we have a vaccine that's widely distributed where people are able, the spread of the virus stops, I think that's going to continue.
How are the spillover green cards distributed? This has been a debate recently. A lot of people are under the presumption only that, hey, EB1 is moved fast, but EB2 and EB3 has not moved. Is the spillover first goes to EB1 and the leftover will go to EB2, or it will be distributed equally as the percentages are required?
Yeah, it's distributed based on the way they're distributed normally. So the same percentage.
Which is about 28%.
28 versus 14 and 14.
28 and 28,
yeah,
sorry. 28% for the EB1, 28% for 28.6 to be exact, 28.6% for EB1, 28.6% for the EB2, and 28.6% for the EB3. It's not the way some people have said, where all the things fall into EB1 and the leftovers will go to EB2. There's somehow a wrong presumption. This whole, last weekend, it was, a lot of people have asked this question on Sunday to me in my TV show, saying that, oh, this is how that's. No, that is not true. It is going to be 28.6%, 28.6%. Okay. What will happen to the proclamation after December 31st? Jai from YouTube asking this question. Jai, the proclamation ends on December 31st. Unless the Trump administration extends it, it is dead. But if he extends it though, which he could, it will be extended. We are assuming that even if it's extended, once the new administration will come in, they will issue another executive order to cancel it. That should happen because Biden already said that he will not ban. He will not ban the immigrants coming into the United States. So it should be lifted off. Even if the Trump administration extends, it should last only between 20 to 30 days.
Sunil from Facebook has a question about the receipt notice delays. He has an I-76 filed that was filed in November. The check was finally cashed in December, but still no receipt notice. Is that normal? So I would say usually the delay is also in the check cashing. So the cases we filed in October, we're still getting checks cashed now at the end of December. So if the check was already cashed in early December, I would think you would have gotten the receipt notice by now. If you have a copy of the cashed check, the case number is usually stamped on the back of it. So you can use that to call customer service or put in a service request about your missing receipt notice.
Sony has this question. Sony from YouTube has this question. What are the new rules with regards to the H-1B wage levels falling in the new quota? At this point of time, it is the old rules, what is existed in 2020. No new rules are there. However, the proposed regulations were published, comments period was over. So if the new administration wants to, they can publish the final regulations before they go out of power. If that happens, things will change. And according to their, whoever is getting paid the highest level will get the lottery preference category. Just like the way master's people were been given, here within the particular segment of it, they're going to look into who is all getting wage level 4. If they're getting wage level 4, okay, they're all selected. That is how the criteria according to the proposed regulations is there. They may publish it, but at this point of time, Sony from YouTube, it is the old system. The new system is not in play as of today, December 29, 2020.
Question from YouTube. Can H-1B workers continue to work from home after the COVID-19 restrictions are lifted? So yes, H-1B workers always had the option of working from home as long as the LCA and the petition provide that home address as the work location. No restrictions on that. Always been an option.
Alok has, do you think in October 2020, do you think October 2020 the dates for EB2 and EB3 should move? Yes, I think so. In October 2020 and 2021, the date should move. This is not considering any per country quota lifting. If that happens, that's a different issue. But without that also, due to the COVID though, the family immigration may be restricted, as Emily and I was discussing. The consulates are closed. Since the consulates are mostly closed, they're not processing the family immigration. So what happens is that the leftovers of the family immigration will come next year. That is starting from October 1st of 2021 to the employment base. So we may expect some more date movements in 2021 October.
Anurag from YouTube wants to know if filing an I-539 change of status to B2 is a viable option if you're not able to file an H-1B transfer within the 60-day grace period after a job loss. Yes, that is a good option. It allows you to remain in the country beyond the end of that 60 days so that you can continue to look for new employment. Now, getting back into H-1B may be a little more problematic because the processing time of the B2 is so long, and usually you need to show that you got the B2 approved before they'll approve the change of status back to H-1B. But we've seen a few cases where we were able to still get the change of status to H-1B even though the B2 is still pending.
Question from Studios from YouTube has that, what's going on the U.S. consulates in India? Will the March appointments will be kept or will they be rescheduled? The one thing is that they're not getting rescheduled, they're canceling the appointments. We don't know yet what will happen in March. We do see that some of the Februaries are getting canceled right now. So we'll have to wait and see how the things will work out. As Emily pointed out, it all depends on how widespread the vaccine is going to be by the month that which you will go an appointment. Based on what I see, last week they said anybody above 75. Now they're saying anybody about 65 who has some medical needs. So yeah, it looks like it's coming down. The vaccination is a little bit faster than we expect. So let's hope by March or April we should be getting. But it all depends on the COVID. That will be the main thing.
Arjun from YouTube wants to know, can we work with 2 different employers on an H4 EAD? Absolutely no problem with that. You can work for any type of company, any job, as long as it's legal. But other than that, yes, no issues. You can work for 10 different employers if you wanted to.
Ganesh from YouTube has this question. For Dropbox, it's extended for 24 months. Do you see getting back to 1 year? Let me explain other people what he's asking. The question is that if you ever got to get stamping, especially for H1, L1, H4, B2, if you got a stamping from India before and you're going for stamping again to India, you don't have to go for the stamping for a live interview. There is something called Dropbox. And previously, if the visa has expired, within 12 months, you are eligible for the Dropbox. Because of the COVID situation, they moved it, instead of 12 months, they moved it to 24 months. So what his question is that, are they going to move it to 1 year instead of 1 year once the COVID restrictions are gone? They definitely are not going to do it immediately. They may do it in the long run. They may not do it actually too. They may keep it as it, because there is no harm that they're getting by keeping it 24 months instead of 12 months. They're avoiding a lot of work and they're avoiding a lot of work for simple things. And even if they look into the Dropbox and they see that they want to interview that person, they can. I mean, there's no restriction. It's not that you put in the Dropbox, they have to give a visa, they can still put a restriction. So I'm not expecting this to go back at all. That is my expectation.
Muni Kumar from Facebook is currently on H4 with an H4 EAD, but also has a pending change of status to H1B. Wants to know what happens if the H1B is still pending and the current H4 and EAD expires. Can you continue to work with the pending H1B? Unfortunately, the answer is no. The H1B does not provide employment authorization until it's actually approved, and most likely due to long processing times of the H4 extension, it's very likely that your EAD is going to expire while you're waiting, and you'll have to stop working during that time.
Mark from YouTube has this question. The extra 110,000 family spillover green cards, what if they are not adjudicated in this year? Will they be put in for the next year, or will they be lost? Unfortunately, Mark, they will be lost. If they don't use it, we lose it. And seems that this administration is going towards not using it. I mean, that's the way this administration is trying to do.
Yeah, if it's taking 3 months just to get a receipt notice, how are they going to adjudicate these by September?
Yeah, that's not likely. And if you look into the processing time of the 4-8 family, for 46 months, that's too much of a time. So this has to be bring to the attention of the Congress people. Like the way the H4 delays have, this has to bring attention. We want all the people to write letters once you file adjustment of status to adjudicate it faster so that all these things are not wasted out.
Manish from YouTube wants to know, do we expect USCIS to act responsibly immediately after the change of power coming in January? Or might it take months for legitimate change? Yeah, that's a really good question. Unfortunately, I don't think it's going to be an immediate change. I think it's going to take time. I think that
it may take at least 1 year.
Yeah, I would agree with that.
At least 1 year if this new administration is sincere. That's another thing, though. We don't know if they're going to be sincere. Are they going to be dilly-dallying? Okay, let's see. We have other important things. We will not touch this one. We'll blame everything on the Trump administration. They may do it. If they are sincere, though, within 1 year, they can control the things. And I would suggest a couple of things to the new administration to do it. One, take the public charge out. so that a lot of paperwork has been taken off. Take the social media out from the consulate appointments. That will reduce a lot of load. Take the biometrics off from the I-539. That will reduce a lot of load on there. And then also, don't change the forms frequently, because every time you change the form, the entire system, the computer system, the fee system, the employees there have to get these things re-educated about the form. And also, they should not change the policies whenever they want, whichever reason why they want it, because every time they change the policy, it will delay. So if they follow these simple steps, though, things will be much better. And another thing, Emily, I would suggest the administration is, hey, take the interview out for the 485M, and that is going to solve a lot of things. I mean, it's going to the delays that are there, 4 years for adjustment of status application, that may come down to 12 months. So all these things can be done. These are the things that I think so that administration could do.
And I want to take us back to the Trump administration coming into power, won the election November 2016, and at that time, you know, a lot of people thought the skies are falling, immediately things are going to change. They did change, obviously, but we didn't actually see any legitimate change until almost a year later.
2017.
Because we were constantly asked, if you go back to those YouTube videos, we were constantly telling people it's fake news, there's nothing that
happened,
changed
nothing
right
had
now.
changed right now, yes.
The exact same thing is going to happen with the Biden administration. Nothing's going to happen overnight. They're not going to be immediate improvements. I would expect a good year before we start to see real change.
And if they are sincere.
Yeah.
So things can be changed, but we have to see how sincere this administration is. But I have to tell you one thing, Emily. When I compare to the Obama administration to that of the Bush administration, Obama administration was not good at all. Especially they started the delay game, and then what happened is that this administration continued and expanded the delay game. But it started from Obama, which Biden was a part of it. Question, will the, Shania has this question, will the new administration will implement the premium processing for H4? Yeah, for sure, they will, but I don't know how long it's going to take for them to implement. It definitely is not on the top list for them.
Sandeep from Facebook wants to know if an H-1B petition can be applied for a less than 40-hour-a-week job. Absolutely, yes. It can be done for a part-time position. It just has to be specified on the LCA as well as the I-129 petition what the hourly wage is and how many hours per week you will work.
Dave from Facebook has a good question. Will the I-140 premium processing, can it make the ultimate green card faster? He filed I-485 concurrently. Dave, I can assure you one thing, that it will definitely not delay. It will definitely not delay. There are a lot of reasons why you need I-140 premium processing, especially, you know, flexibility of the job. If you lose this job, moving to another job. If you have a better opportunity, moving to another job. If you, by any chance, considering marrying to this application, that means using the EAD in advance parole, you definitely want I-140 out of your way, because most of the problems occur is when the I-140 get delayed. For all reasons, I-140 premium processing is the best option for everybody. Now, having said that though, a lot of people have this question, can I file the I-140 premium processing in the downgrade application, especially when the original labor certification is not there? We have seen some denials previously, denials of only premium processing, not the application, guys. In 2016 and 2017, recently I haven't seen any denials of the premium processing. They're taking the money and they're adjudicating the cases in the proper timing. Now, even if by any chance they will deny your premium processing, they'll give your money back. I mean, you never get the money back from USCIS, but in the situation of the premium processing, they'll give your money back. There is a 95+% chance in the downgrade application that that the premium processing will be accepted, they will take your money and adjudicate your case. There is less than 5% chance they will deny it and give you the money back. So you have not much to lose to convert into premium processing. I suggest everybody to convert into premium processing. Yes, we did tell a lot of people not to file premium processing along with the downgrade application because the USCIS gets confused there, and they will reject the entire application when they don't see the original labor certification, and then the priority date moves back. And that's the reason why we suggested don't file in premium processing. But we strongly suggest that you do convert your application to premium processing.
Timothy from YouTube wants to know, what do you think is going to happen for people who filed the adjustment during October 2020? When will the final action date for EB3 actually catch up? You know, my guess is it won't happen until October 2021 because the filing date chart for EB3 even went backwards 1 year after October. So it's going to take till September to get to the current filing date chart, and the final action date chart has actually been moving more slowly than what it should to get to those dates by September. So I think it's going to be October 2021 before we see that movement.
Nisha from YouTube has this question. Is the new filings of the H1B, is it going to be the lottery system? You bet it's going to be a lottery system. Nothing has changed at this point of time as compared to last year. Even if there is any change, the change is not about the lottery system. The change is about how they will pick your case in the lottery system. They were picking randomly based on whether or not you have a master's degree in United States or not. Now, they will also not only consider whether you have a master's degree or not, whether you have a salary that is level 4 or which level you are in, then they will pick those cases. But having said that, that new wage level system at this point of time, Nisha, is not there. So it's a normal system unless something changes. And of course, if there is anything changes that occurs, Nisha, you come here often, so we will inform you in our weekly updates.
Swati from Facebook wants to know, can an H4 spouse use a green card EAD while the H1 applicant is still using the H1 visa? Yes, that can be done, and that really is how everything happened prior to the existence of the H4 EAD. The H4 spouse was not able to work until they actually received that green card EAD. But you do have the option of continuing to extend the H4 EAD or using the green card EAD instead.
Arjun has this question. Can we file a lawsuit to force the USCIS to use the green cards, the entire green cards that are there?
Not a bad idea. I mean,
that's a good idea,
what
actually.
Most of our litigation focuses on is the Administrative Procedures Act, which says that the government has to complete an adjudication in a reasonable period of time. And for immigrant visas, which the green card is, 6 months is what they considered reasonable. So perhaps when these applications are pending for more than 6 months, we could potentially file lawsuits for the unreasonable delay.
The only exception is the final action date has to be current, Arjun.
Yeah, that's true.
That's the only thing. If it's not current, then we will not be able to. You definitely cannot join the lawsuit, though. But if the final action date is up and it's been more than 6 months, I think so we should consider suing USCIS.
Mm-hmm. Radha from Facebook wants to know how early we can start the H4 extension application process if it's expiring in August 2022. So typically, when you're filing with the H1B extension, the H1B can only be filed 6 months early. So that's the earliest the H4 can be applied. So you're looking at February 2022, even though the H4 application processing time is 12 to 18 months at most of the service centers.
I think so. The question goes to beyond that, I guess. Sometimes what happens, the spouse moves to a different company and gets an extension, though. So the question that pops up is that, can I file more than 6 months? Yes, you can file H4 and EAD more than 6 months. If your spouse's H1B extended, you can file more than 6 months. As of now, there's only one case I ever got an RFE that I learned about, where the person has filed an EAD extension before the 6 months time. They got an RFE, and it was answered upon my advice, and he got the EAD approved properly. So a lot of people have asked this question, can I file before 6 months the EAD? Can I file the H4? You're taking a slight risk with regards to, but as of now, I have not seen a single denial of the EAD application that was filed more than six months before for the H4 applications. Today is December 29, 2020. I have not seen. Please believe me on this one. It's not only that I'm an immigration lawyer. Our immigration update is heard by or listened by approximately 25,000 people every week. And we do get feedback. We do get feedback from you. Here is every minute, every second we get an update from you. If there is somebody who will tell us that, okay, my EAD got denied before, we will pursue it. What happened? Why is it got denied? So we haven't got a denial at it. So especially for the H4 plus EAD, when you file together though, they're taking, in California Service Center, it's taking like 20 months. And if it's expiring, in 2022 also, and your spouse's H1B get approved, I would file an application right now for H4 plus EAD right now. I will not wait until 6 months before the EAD expires and file. I would file it right now. Although some of the lawyers are advising otherwise, I'm not telling that they're wrong. I'm not telling that there cannot be a denial. There is a possibility for it because the law says that you have to file within the 6 months period. But we have not seen a denial. And if any of you guys, approximately 25,000 people listen to us every week, if you get an EAD denial because you filed more than 6 months, I'm speaking about H4 EAD, please post it out on the Facebook and YouTube. We won't delete it, believe us.
Saravana from YouTube says, my GC status says fingerprint fees received. How much time will it take to receive the biometric notice? Well, based on the current backlog of 1.3 million people, it could be a good 125 days before USCIS gets to your biometric notice. Hopefully, they'll improve. They're operating, I believe, at about 70% capacity right now at the application support centers. They're still working through the backlog created all the way back to March. That's why they're so far behind. So it's going to be a while.
Having said that, Emily, there are some people who are receiving biometrics that filed in October. Mm-hmm. One of the main reasons for that is that it depends on which district the person is. That's number one. Number two is that sometimes the officer who gets the application is very active, very smart, and is a very good worker, just, very nice worker. So he may be very active in creating the slots, putting in the slots, and getting those things faster. There are two possibilities for it. It's not that some people may get earlier, some people may get later.
Srikant from YouTube wants to know, my spouse filed the 485 back in October and we just got the receipt notices, but her 485 receipt notice has the priority date missing. Is this a problem? Should I be concerned? Not a problem at all. USCIS doesn't always list the priority date on every single notice. And especially like the I-140 receipts where you're downgrading, they don't put a priority date or put the current priority date and not the one you're porting. So not a problem on the receipt notice at all.
Sachin Gupta from Facebook has this question. Can a second I-140 for AB3 be filed using the same POM application that got him the I-140 approval for AB2 in April of 2016? Absolutely you can. That's what we did in the whole October, downgrade and file it. Although we generally recommended not to file it early, but we changed our opinion for starting in September of 2020 after, you can file, you guys have the money, there's nothing wrong with it. You can file an I-140 EB3. I don't see any reason why it will harm your application unless there is some inherent problems in your application. Yeah, it may or may not help you, but I don't see any harm in you filing an EB3 application. I don't see any harm.
Karthik from YouTube wants to know, if I apply for an H4 EAD on the basis of my H4 receipt and then I travel before the H4 is approved, what will be the impact on the H4 EAD application? So if this is an H4 extension that you filed and you already completed the biometrics and then you leave, the H4 can still be processed, which means the EAD application can still be processed even though you've exited the country. No problem there. If it's just an EAD filed by itself where you've already got the H4, and you travel after you filed the EAD, no problem with that. The problem comes in where you filed the H4 extension, and filed the EAD extension, and you travel before biometrics are done, and your biometrics are scheduled while you're outside the U.S. and you can't get back in time. The H4 will be denied for abandonment because you didn't do the biometrics. That's going to cause your EAD to be denied. So once you come back, you have to refile it.
Tanisha says that her once the EB1A I-140 is approved, can our adjustment of status interview be waived? Yes, it could be waived. We have seen some cases where the adjustment of status interview have been waived, especially for the EB1A category people. We have seen that recently. We have seen it many times.
Srinivas from Facebook wants to know if filing an H1 extension with H4 and H4 EAD altogether a good idea, or should it be filed, the EAD be filed later after the H1 and H4 approval? Yeah, the H4 EAD renewals are so problematic because they're all being delayed due to the I-539 delay caused by the biometrics delay. So there's not a good workaround. The only real workaround is file the H1B extension in premium processing, get it approved, have your spouse exit, get the H4 stamped, come back, and then file the EAD. That's the only fast way to do it, but we don't have the option of getting the H4 stamped easily right now because of all the COVID restrictions, and consulates are not accepting appointments. So assuming that we could get the appointment, that would be the route to go. That's the only fast option.
Question from Mayur that he's asking question from YouTube is that, is there a rule that the L1B visa holders cannot apply for EB1C? No, there is no rule that says that you cannot apply for EB1C. However, though, to qualify for EB1C, the position requirements, especially what you have done in back before you came into this country, will be scrutinized very, very carefully. So you may not be eligible, you may be eligible. If you're eligible for it, you definitely can file a EB1C, though you are on L1B.
John from YouTube wants to know if an employer can revoke an I-140 after it's been approved for 6 months. So technically an employer can never revoke an I-140. That's not their power. What they can do is withdraw an I-140 at any time. If that withdrawal happens before the 6-month mark, it leads to revocation. If the withdrawal happens after the 6-month mark, the I-140 is considered withdrawn, but it is not revoked when it comes to retaining your priority date. So there is a difference between the two, but technically an employer can never revoke an I-140.
Mohammed has this question. What are the chances for the Senate 386 bill going through the next Congress? Oh, well, one thing is for sure. I have seen this form of bill every Congress, though. There are good chances that it will go through the House of Representatives, but still when it comes to the Senate, it's going to the battle. And it also depends on who is the majority leader in the Senate. Is it going to be Democrats? Is it going to be Republicans? So we have to see that too. The Georgia votes may determine who will be controlling the Senate. Mitch McConnell from the Republican Party, he could have put the Senate 386 bill for voting, and we had enough votes to overpass the pass over the filibuster, which requires at least 60 votes. We had enough votes. He did not put it for voting. He just wanted every senator to agree with it, and that's where it messed up, according to me. I may be wrong. You can judge me on that, but That's my, if the new Senate Majority Leader will have a strong opinion on that, he could put it for a vote, and we have enough votes to get the per country quota limit taken off. In the House, we have enough votes in the Senate also. We'll have to fight for it again, just like the way we fought it last time. We'll have to fight for it again.
Naga Money from Facebook wants to know, can I travel back to the U.S. from Canada with an approved H1 petition and without the stamping in 10 days? Potentially. So if your H1 approval has an I-94 on it and you have a previous visa stamp that's expired, you could travel to Canada for less than 30 days under the automatic revalidation provision and use your expired visa plus your approved H1B petition with I-94 to come back into the country, as long as you have not tried to get the visa stamp during that trip. So that's good for travel to Canada or Mexico. Trip has to be less than 30 days. You have to have a valid approval notice with an I-94, and your previous visa stamp could be expired.
Vinaras from YouTube says, still he has not received the receipt notice he filed on October 29th. I'm assuming this is for the downgrade application, the 485 application. Well, join the club of 100,000 people who still received the receipt notice, especially for those people who filed in the last week of October. You are nothing odd, you are just normal. There are tons of people, and believe our office is inundated with these calls. We have filed your application, we haven't received the receipt notice. Yes, you are one of them, and they are one of them. And yes, your lawyer might have told you, yeah, you're going to get the receipt notice in 3 weeks. You called in 3 weeks. Your lawyer told it's 5 weeks. You called in 5 weeks. He said 7 weeks. You called in 7 weeks. He said 9 weeks. Now you called in 9 weeks. He's telling 11 weeks. Did he do all these things? I don't know about your lawyer, but we did. So most probably your lawyer also falls into the same criteria. This is going on nationwide. I don't know, thanks to the Trump administration, it's his last gift for us, hopefully.
Anil from Facebook wants to know, if an H4 spouse works using the green card EAD, will that be considered as being married to the adjustment of status? So they'll abandon the H4 status. Yes, that's absolutely correct, because H4 without an EAD is not authorized to work. So if you use that green card EAD or travel on the advanced parole, you're no longer maintaining your H4 status and you're married to your adjustment of status.
Ooh, one more thing we missed out. Any estimate on how many AOS applications are being filed in October 2020?
Oh, I would love to know that. I really would love to know
This
that.
question comes from Mohan Rao Kondamaneni from YouTube. The previous administration used to publish the data with regards to how many AOS applications in the employment based are pending, what is their priority date, which country they belong to. Every quarter they used to do that. The Trump administration stopped it. We have no clue right now what's going on. There's no official data. So unless this administration will go and publish it, we have no clue how many applications and what are their priority dates. We have no clue about it. They used to publish it, they stopped publishing it, so we won't know unless they publish it.
Yeah, we may have to do a Freedom of Information Act request for that.
Right. Good. Suresh said, Suresh is pointing out, oops, I received my receipt notice, I filed on October 30th. Yes, Suresh, you may have received it. We have seen that. It's not that everybody did not receive it, but there are some people who have filed on the same day. Some of them have received it, some of them have not received it. This is common. This is across the board. So kind of statements like is getting very panicky for the other people. I want to calm them down. You and your friend might have filed an application that was received by the immigration in the same service center on the same day. Your friend might have got a receipt notice a week before. You did not get it. It is very, very common. This is the last gift this Trump administration is giving to us. Hopefully so. We don't get any more gifts from him, and I don't want any gifts from him.
Raj from YouTube filed the adjustment of status in October in the EB2 category and wants to know if the EB3 final action date becomes current before EB2, can I still downgrade in the future? That all depends on whether you have married your EB2 adjustment of status. So if you continue to maintain your underlying non-immigrant status, such as H1 or L1, after you have filed that EB2, then you have the option to downgrade to EB3 in the future if that is preferable to you. But if you have used the EAD from that green card, or have used the advanced parole, or have somehow stopped maintaining your H1 status, or stopped maintaining your underlying non-immigrant status, you're married to that adjustment of status. It's not that easy to just downgrade or upgrade or file another 485.
Yeah, it's not going to be like as easy as changing the lines in a rush hour, guys. It's a little bit complex when you try to move from EB2 to EB3 when your adjustment of status is pending. It's almost like a caboose. That means that you go back at the end of the line. It's a little bit more complex than that too, I would say. A lot of people are asking about the stimulus checks. If they get it, can they keep it? Yes, go ahead, keep it. The stimulus checks are a refund of the tax you paid. It's not like you're getting something else, so you can keep the checks.
All right, well, I think that about does it for today for our last Facebook and YouTube Live of 2020. Good riddance to 2020, and cheers to the new year. Have a good New Year's Eve.
Thank you guys for coming in.